Help us fight for life and train the CSRA. Contact the American Heart Association for details.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Good evening. The number of people getting vaccinated rising every day, a sign of hope in this long pandemic. But for Denise Trania, the loss of her son is still fresh.
We really thought that there would be medical procedures and solutions available to him that would, perhaps demand some rehabilitation, but certainly never thought that we would lose him.
And now the federal government stepping in to help hundreds of thousands of people like Denise pay for the funeral. But first, while the Augusta National wasn't packed with patrons like in years past, the Masters still did wonders for some local businesses that have had a really tough year.
It was really the rebound they needed. Traffic on Washington Road, more like what we're used to seeing back out there today, this afternoon. But Brady Troutnell is live for us out there. Brady, tell us about the ripple effect. How was last week for business?
Well, Laura, you can really feel the energy across town, especially here on Washington Road. As you can see here behind me, traffic backed up now. It was like this all week long. And T-Bones is just thankful to be here, located just down the road from Augusta National. The signs will soon come down, but the impact remains.
We filled up like one time with a lot of patrons, Masters patrons, and you felt the energy.
Henry Shear, owner of T-Bone, says that energy wasn't anything like a normal Masters tournament, but it was definitely better than November.
Joe Montana was in here, and we had a few others that came in here, some of the golfers, so it was a real good time.
But across the road at Half Moon Outfitters is a different story.
It was, about normal, honestly.
Like a normal week. Alex Baker says the store was busy the 2 weeks leading into the week because of spring break.
We were in a pretty fortunate position to be carrying the type of clothing and equipment that people are looking for right now.
At Design Images and Gifts,
on par with regular year Masters years.
Lamps, art, furniture selling weeks before the tournament.
Turned out people were still getting ready and sprucing up, and we were just crazy busy.
Businesses are still trying to bounce back from a tough year, and last week was a welcome bright spot, bringing hope for what's ahead.
We're starting to prepare tomorrow for next year, because we know next year when all the restrictions are over, it's just going to be crazy busy.
T-Bone says they hope to carry the momentum from Masters Week into the Mother's Day holiday, which is another big day for local businesses.
Yeah, we are holding the chairman to his words. All the patrons invited back to Augusta next year. Brady, thank you.
It'd be like letting kids back into a candy store around here. It's
We are
gonna be
so excited
wild.
for that.
Yes. Okay.
How about this?
Yeah, how about this? Blue
shopping.
skies a day after Masters Week, and, we really can't complain. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale here to tell us what we can expect.
Well, if you're just joining us, we have been following some breaking news out of Tennessee this afternoon in Knoxville, where there's been a shooting at a high school there, and we're learning more in the last 20 minutes that one person is dead, the suspect is in custody, but a number of people have been shot there this afternoon. Officials were called to a man possibly armed inside the school. We don't know what that person's connection is to the school, but we know a police officer is among those victims and heading to surgery. Not sure about the other victims, how they're doing, but we're keeping an ear on things coming out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
To date, 772 people in Richmond, Columbia, and Aiken counties alone have died from COVID. But to each family member, they're not just a number. They are a person and a hole left in their hearts.
Now, FEMA will reimburse funeral expenses for families who lost a loved one to COVID. News 12 Sydney Heiberger looking at the impact that kind of program will have.
Richard, that's right. The program offers up to $9,000 to families who lost a loved one to COVID after January 20th of last year. Even if people haven't had a full service yet due to the pandemic, or even if they have general life insurance, FEMA says families can apply.
February 11th.
It's something a parent never thinks will happen to them.
33-year-old, healthy individual, no history of problems.
A pain funeral directors like Melissa Posey-Luce know all too well.
This past year, we have really seen a lot of loss. I would say that our business increased by about a third because of COVID directly.
And along with the emotional burden that comes with the loss,
a financial one that many families may not anticipate. An average funeral is about $10,000. We've had several families that are unprepared. Rightly so. I mean, who expects to die from a pandemic? It's why the federal government allocated funds for the FEMA Funeral Assistance Program in the first place.
This FEMA process will give us more funds to be able to pass on to his family, and that's really the big plus.
Though there's no price that can ever ease the pain of losing her son,
We're sharing our grief with a lot of folks.
for mothers like Denise Trina, a little help can go a long way.
Unfortunately, with hundreds and thousands of families eligible, FEMA worries this program could be a breeding ground for scams. The agency says they will not call anyone or use any third parties to pre-register them for assistance. So if you receive a call from someone saying they're going to register for you, do not give them your information.
Really good advice. Would hate to have these families already hurt and get taken advantage of. Sydney, thank you. So to apply for that funeral assistance program, you can call the number you see right there on your screen. You do need to have a death certificate that shows COVID somehow contributed to the death, receipts of all funeral or death-related expenses, and proof of any other funds you received from donations or from funeral insurance policies. Those will not be reimbursed.
Well, if you're trying to get a COVID vaccine, University Hospital has a clinic set for tomorrow at First Baptist on Walton Way Extension. There are appointments throughout the day tomorrow, but do make sure to make that appointment. Don't just walk up. You can do that by going to our WRDW app and searching University Clinic. University has clinics every week this month. If you can't make that one, Georgia and South Carolina have websites that show you where you can go for a COVID vaccine. They're on the screen now if you want to grab the phone and take a quick photo. myvaccinegeorgia.com, vaxlocator.dhec.sc.gov.
It's known as a breakthrough case. That's when a person tests positive for COVID 14 days or later after getting their vaccine. It's not common, but we do know of cases here in Georgia and South Carolina where vaccinated people have still gotten COVID. DHEC says in South Carolina we've seen 155 breakthrough cases reported, but for context, out of a total of more than 900,000 people who are fully vaccinated, so very low percentages, less than a fraction of 1%. Doctors say it all comes down to genetics.
It has to do with their own personal genetics and immune status. Has to do with their type of exposure that they get. So again, someone that has more routine, high-risk exposure, more likely to get a vaccine breakthrough. And then, of course, whether you're getting exposed to variants.
DHEC says they are researching how many of these people in these breakthrough cases got severely sick or died. They say the majority of these cases are mild or asymptomatic altogether.
His scam keeps working. A fake Walmart employee just hit the Evans Walmart for a third time in 3 months. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office says every time the guy goes into the Evans Walmart, puts on a Walmart employee vest, and walks out with electronics, a lot of merchandise. We're showing you photos of him on your screen right there in the act. The latest incident happened just last Wednesday. They say he walked out with 19 phones. In March, Nintendo Switch games. In February, $2,800 in AirPods. They believe he drives a white Nissan Altima. If you know anything, call the Sheriff's Office.
Been pretty bold 3 times now. Hopefully somebody recognizes him. Club Car is getting a new owner. This is big news, but employees, you don't need to worry, they say. Club Car's parent company is selling the business to a private firm, Platinum Equity, for $1.68 billion. The deal should be all done by September, but Club Car's parent company says the change in ownership should not create any change for employees. We'll keep you posted on that. Happening now, talks about the Georgia voting law. The Richmond see those elections officials discussing the changes as we speak.
So if your child played baseball or softball over the last 55 years, and I know that's a lot of territory, but there's a good chance this one man worked one of those games.
This is Jimmy Cofer, from rec youth leagues to semi-pro. Jimmy Cofer has pretty much done it all. Tonight, he's being honored at the biggest park in town. Will Rio live for us at SRP Park. And Will, you spoke with Cofer. How does he feel about this big honor?
Well, Laura, the first thing that he told me was he had no idea what this whole thing was about. It's only natural for him. He has a passion for working with kids in the area, and he says he's going to do it until the day he dies.
At the age of 81,
I've been in a long time.
you can find Jimmy Cofer here at Riverview Park year-round.
Only thing keep me going now is the little kids, and I love the little kids.
You probably recognize Jimmy from the baseball diamond, football field, or basketball court. That's because he spent more than half of his life as a mentor to kids here in the CSRA, and to be exact, 55 years.
It's not for the money why I'll be rich, because I've been doing it 50-some years, but I just love the kids.
And at SRP Park, they're honoring his years of service.
It means a whole lot that people say good things about you, because sometimes you live in this world, nobody says nothing about you. So I'm glad that somebody think a lot of me.
He's seen an outpour of support from parents, players, and friends.
I hadn't seen Jimmy actually probably in over 10 years, but that's the thing, you don't forget about him.
Kenny Brown says Jimmy used to be an umpire for his baseball games when he was in high school, and then later worked by his side.
Jimmy was an infectious personality. He was out there when he was umpiring baseball games or reffing basketball games or everything. He was out there having as much fun as the kids were.
And Jimmy says he's nowhere close to throwing in the towel.
How long are you going to keep doing this for?
Just as long as I can do it, as long as the law give me a breath to do it.
And the Parks and Rec Department told me that they're expecting a little bit more than 1,000 people to show up tonight. It's the largest total that they've had for a high school game since the park actually opened. The department also told me that finding umpires is a tough job here and that they can't find too many, so they're happy that Cofer decided to stick around for as long as he did. Guys?
Love that. Jimmy Cofer's going to be right at home at SRP Park
I
tonight.
don't think they could have found a better person to honor 55 years of dedication. Will, thanks for bringing us his story. We had to have a heads up for Burke County parents. Your child will learn from home Friday, so time to start juggling those child care arrangements. The reason Burke County employees will be getting their second COVID shot, because of the reported side effects, they decided they want to be safe. Again, this is Friday. It is a learn from home day for Burke County students. Riley?
Well, beautiful weather expected to continue. First alert forecast.
And if you're thinking of buying a new car, our I-Team has done the research for you. Coming up, we're taking a look into which cars can really go the distance.
Can't wait to see that. And new artwork on display in downtown Augusta, making the ordinary into something really special. We're going to tell you where you can find it after the break.
Real injuries deserve real money.
With tax returns and stimulus checks in hand, you may be looking to buy a new car, truck, or SUV.
So to help you know which make and model can go the distance, whether new or used, the I-Team went to work and we found the top vehicles nationally and right here in Augusta that have logged well over 200,000 miles and kept on trucking.
So it's a 1998. We bought it used.
Megan Schaefer's love affair with her family's Toyota Land Cruiser is something she celebrates on Facebook, even though social media didn't even exist when it rolled off the lot 23 years ago. It celebrated 230,000 miles that day, and that was 15 months ago, and it's still cruising.
Tyler was a toddler, and we were expecting Cooper. And so Cooper came home from the hospital in it. And then we did all the kids' preschool, carpools, baseball, moving to Minnesota, moving back from Minnesota, like all the things, all the time in that car.
And all the time I've known Megan, they've had that same SUV. She's my husband's aunt, and when we started dating a decade ago in college, Megan's kids were still in grade school. And now, you guessed it, they've each taken it for a ride.
Bryce turned 16, and we're like, oh, it's the best 16-year-old car, perfect. And then Tyler turned 16, it got passed down to him. Cooper turned 16, got passed down to him, and it's still kicking.
A recent analysis by iSeeCars.com found the Toyota Land Cruiser is the #1 longest-lasting car in the nation, by a long shot, with more than 16% of their fleet on the road, with odometer readings of more than 200,000 miles. Carl Bauer is an executive analyst with the company.
On average, a given model gets about 1% of their vehicles hit 200,000 miles. So it's a pretty small percentage that ever get to 200,000 plus miles.
So it was a little surprising to me how far above and what a jump in percentage it was. Was that surprising to you guys?
I think it was surprising to me. I mean, we're talking 3 times the number 3 car. 5.3% for the Chevy Suburban and then 16.3% for the Toyota Land Cruiser. So 3 times as many Land Cruisers hit 200,000 miles as Chevrolet Suburbans.
Speaking of the Chevy Suburban, the I-Team found that's the #1 longest lasting vehicle here in the city of Augusta, with 7.4% of all Chevy Suburbans lasting more than 200,000 miles on our local roadways. Next up, another Chevy, the Tahoe, then the Toyota Tundra and 4Runner, and lastly the Dodge Titan rounding out the top 5, with 3% of those hitting the 200,000-mile landmark in the Garden City.
I found it interesting that Augusta maybe is just showing a little more kind of domestic leaning. They're supporting their homebrew car makers a little more with the 2 Chevrolets at the top instead of the 2 Toyotas at the national level.
I love seeing high mileage cars, especially here.
Aaron Clements has seen quite a few as the president of CNC Automotive in Augusta.
Well, the cars are built better than they've ever been built before. And really, if somebody wanted to, they could actually take the car and drive it 100,000 miles without doing anything. But after that, it would be sort of downhill.
Clements says while that's not advised, there is one part of routine maintenance that he believes is the most important. Change your fluids, all of them, religiously.
After a period of time, fluids build up contaminants and or metal particles. The metal particles cause more wear. The wear causes more friction, and it's pretty much downhill from there.
After that, those routine oil changes, make sure those are on time. And also, don't skip out on those early maintenance years in the life of your car.
That could be the difference between you keeping a vehicle 150, 200,000 miles and things starting to fall apart on it, and keeping a vehicle 150, 200,000 miles and looking back and saying, wow, this is still a great car.
Megan's advice would be, no matter where you live, consider a Toyota Land Cruiser, new or used.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. But here's the best part, is that other families we know have the same car. The exact same Land Cruiser that have gone through all their kids, and it's still driving.
And I can confirm Megan does not work for Toyota in any way. She gets no Toyota kickback.
Okay.
She's just
her car's
a
paid
believer.
for.
Yeah, she's just a believer. It is a well paid for. But and I think we might have called it a Dodge Titan. Nissan makes the Titan. So as you're looking for this, we're going to put the link to the IC Cars report in the story on our website. They've got a much more in-depth list, including trucks and cars, so you can take a closer look at that.
We're also going to post the story online so you can go back through, watch it again. This is one of those I want to watch and take notes on.
Right.
Because you really want to know about these. Used car dealers and the mechanics are going, we've been telling you this for years. Take care of your fluids and take care of your car.
I did make sure when I interviewed that analyst, I said, are you guys getting any kind of kickbacks? Are you sponsored? What do the numbers mean to you? And they say no. They get data from across the board, and there are no kickbacks. So just the raw numbers, we like it.
Back to your aunt, 230,000 miles. Has anything ever broken?
They say one thing, the sunroof no longer works, so it's permanently closed. The sunroof is leaky, but other than that, pretty good car. It's a tank. It's a tank. And it's been through those 3 boys, and I know those 3 boys, and they couldn't have been easy on that car.
And I hear you saying gas prices, they go up and down, but right now it's easy to fill the thing.
Yeah, I mean, she's making me do some research on it. I'm like, okay, maybe.
That's good. Good stuff there. Riley.
All right, weather-wise, guys, for the rest of the week, even into early next week, they will drop off to the 70s.
After a hard week of work, the murals for the It All Flows into the Savannah Storm Drain project, they are all done, and they are gorgeous. Love seeing these around town. About a dozen artists started painting these 12 murals on storm drains in downtown Augusta last week. And from Broad to Reynolds over on Telfair Street, you can check out this artwork for yourself. We've got the details on where to find those at WRDW.com. But I'm loving this trend of all the artwork downtown.
Looks good. Important message there, too. Okay, sports coming up next. With the Masters finishing up yesterday, we're going to take a look back.